You have their EHR, which I want to say is probably the
Rather to
more
see the HR. Yeah, let's see it.
most, yes, so the most familiar section for the patient. I do want to switch my patient here for a second because I want to show you how we have made a lot of changes there as well in regards to this. All right. So you have the spinal listing, which I did show you before under the patient's treatment plan that you will be able to update the information here, there,
Mhm.
sorry, or you can update it here. You have the patient's chart notes, which as you can see is separated. You have today's appointments. Yes, I do have a million appointments set for myself in all of these different demos that I have been doing.
Mhm.
Once the patient checks in, it will show just like it did for that, like the page that I was on before. But I did want to show you this for a particular reason. You also have the non-scheduled office visits, which allows you now, instead of having to go in, like many times you might have forgotten to enter a SOAP note and you had to enter it for today, then go in and backdate the SOAP note and what's not. No longer will you have to do that because the system now allows you to say, oh, you forgot to enter a visit. When did you need to put that in? Did you need to do it for February 3rd? You're able to go in, enter the date, choose the name of the provider, whoever is going to be entering a note, click on create note, and you're able to enter that note for the original date.
Okay.
All right. You also have the unsigned note section. Now, with the unsigned note section, this is where, remember all of those drafts that you were seeing? This is where all of that information will be displayed. So this will basically show you all the notes that the doctor has not been completed, has not completed, sorry. So you can see I'm not doing a very good job because I'm definitely not completing my notes, but this is where all of those unsigned notes would show. The difference is a completed note means that the doctor would have actually selected sign and check out. Whereas the note that is unsigned means that the doctor would have only selected the check out button. So check out means that the services will be added and the note will go into drafts. Sign and check out means that the doctor has completed both and they will not show here.
Okay.
All right. Um, Taking you to the
So,
exams because I did want to show you that posture eval. So you do have tons of exams that you will be able to perform here for the patient. You basically are just clicking on the particular exam that you wish to perform and you're able to then enter the information. I did speak to Nadine and she mentioned that the outcome for the exams will also be entered into the patient's objective part of the note. So that information will go into the note once you've completed the exam for the patient. You are, however, able to save the encounter. So once you have actually completed a test for the patient, all of the patient's test history will actually show here under the encounters. So basically shows you everything on the date that it would have been completed and what's not. So you will be able to see what was actually performed. And then you have the posture eval, which as I mentioned, once I click on new posture evaluation, once the patient's weight and height is recorded and I click on confirm, it's going to take me directly to the biotonics page, which is an integrated option, as I said, that allows you to be able to do things like send exercises, do the posture evaluation and what's not. All of the consultation information and everything will show here. So I can select
okay.
start a new consultation and I'm able to go ahead and record all of the patient's information as needed.
Okay.
All right.
Wow. That's a fun little add-on.
Yes, yes, it is. So I mean, I'm saying yes, but I have no idea what it's for. But I know that the doctors so far that I've talked to about it, they love it. So I love it
Yeah.
too. All right.
Yeah.
And
For a
then
functional medicine doctor, or a doctor working on weight loss or managing diabetes or something, that's going to be a really good
option.
portion.
Got it. All right. Now you also have your treatment history here, which basically shows you like all of your past soap notes. And what I really like about this again is that you are able to see the status of the notes here as well, and you can complete the notes here, or you can do it from the unsigned note section. It also gives you the ability that let's say that you wanted to compare every time that you might have done a re-examination for a patient, you're able to go in and select up to 3 notes that you wish to compare. And once you
Wow.
select the compare option here at the top, you're able to see a side-by-side view of what was actually done. So obviously, if
That
it was
is
entering
really cool.
those, you can see more. But this is how it would basically look. So you can do that
That is
comparison.
awesome.
You can change the dates if you wanted to. You can print PDF report, so you get to see all of your treatment history information here for your patients.
What a
It's
cool feature.
mhm. Well, if you think that that's cool, wait until we go on. So I'm going to just select create a note here for the patient. And I'm going to check my patient in because I didn't. So as you can see here, I can check in from the EHR screen or I can check in directly on the appointment book, whichever. I want to take you back to my patient, Pat Smith, because again, I do toggle between my patients for better examples. So I'll bring you back here to Pat Smith. And on Pat Smith, you'll see there's a separation where you have this grade, out section, and then you have this white section. The gray section is the patient's regular treatment. So that information that would have previously shown in the blue section on the EHR, that's what's
Hmm.
going to show here. But what we have done is that if the patient did not have a regular treatment entered, and you don't save a regular treatment, whatever note was entered as the patient's last note will automatically show up in this gray section the next time the patient comes in. So even though that you haven't saved it as a regular treatment, whatever was the last note entered, that will show in this gray section, and you can decide if you're going to use it for today's visit. So that is a major improvement. A lot of persons had asked about, having that previous note be entered. We are doing that now. So you have either where you can save it as a regular adjustment, or whatever the last note was will automatically become it. You can either click on this button here that says copy regular treatment, and it will automatically take everything that is in this gray section and put it into your soap note in progress. Or if there are key areas that change every single visit, then you can just click on the arrows here to be able to transfer, and then just use this section to input new information as needed. So whichever rocks your boat as far as entering patient details.
Yeah,
All
so if
right.
you're using a touch screen, how's that working? Do you have certain buttons are programmed to go to the subjective, certain buttons programmed to the objective? How's it work?
Very good question. So here's the deal on that. We have also made changes there. So once you edit the patient's button, if you have it broken down into the SOAP, you can actually
Uh,
set it up so that you say, okay, when I click on this button, I want this to go into my assessment, or I want it to go into
mhm.
my output, etc. So you are able to customize which section your buttons actually go into. So I want to say that this is more ideal if you're breaking it down into that SOAP as compared to if you're just doing the single note. Because if it's doing single note, when you click on the button, it's just going to go there. But if you're using the SOAP, you're able to click, okay, if I click on this, it's going to go here. If I click on this, it's going to go to P. If I click here, it's going to go to subjective. So you are able to set up that configuration. Not just that, you are able now to also set up what we call a chain of buttons. What that means, if let's say every time you click on subjective, the next button that you want to have opened would be why the patient is coming, and then where the patient is experiencing these issues, and how the patient would have got it would be the next button, and then what the patient would have said.
Yeah.
If that's the way that your button flows and you want to have it like that, you can set up so that when you click on it, that you say, okay, what is the next button that opens after I click this? So that once
Hmm.
you're done, whenever you've completed a note, and let me just show you because I do have it set up here under this other option. If I click here,
Hmm.
it opens up and asks me why the patient is coming. And then I add it,
Nice.
and it asks me where the patient is experiencing, and I add it. And then I go on. So it continues that entire chain to
I
again
see.
prohibit you from having to click here, then click on this button, then click here,
Oh,
then click
nice.
on this button. You're able to create that
Mm.
entire chain. And especially if you have, I want to say, associate doctors that might not be too um, knowledgeable in your button options, then creating that chain allows them to know, this is what I need to
Yeah,
select without having to come out of that particular button. So you do
that's
have
awesome.
free range.
Beautiful.
Another thing that we've added, I'm not done yet. Another thing that we've
Mm.
added is that we've also given you the ability, as you can see here, you can have multiple touchpads. So multiple sets of
Ah,
information. If you have a massage therapist, you're a neurologist, whoever, you
that's
can now
awesome.
switch between and be able to do that. And if you think that that's it, there's also the ability for you to be able to say, okay, I did a re-examination, or I performed an x-ray without you having to go and tell the CA that this is what was done. You can configure your button that if you mention that something was done in your note, that you can have a service associated with it as well. So once you click on this particular
Hmm.
output, if a 98943 is the service that you need to have added, or a 72070 service, which is an x-ray, if you mention that an x-ray was performed and you put it into your note, that service can also be automatically added to be billed for the patient as well. So again, major work went
That's
into
awesome.
the
I feel
setup.
partly responsible for that from the interviews on how to make this better.
There
Just
you
saying.
go. There you go. So you can see that this is probably part of the reason why it has taken a while, because trust and believe that the first time that I saw the system, the amount of things that have actually gone in since that last time, you will be amazed. There are a lot of things that every time I go to the system, there's always something new. So they're constantly making the changes. But I just think that now we need to say, okay, let's get it out, and then let's come back and put in some more of those changes. So this is supposed to be a minimum viable product, but it is a lot more than just minimum. There is so much that's went into the software that I think a lot of the doctors are going to love.
Yeah.
All right, so
Very
thank
robust.
Thank you for that and all of your input of helping us to get the system where it actually is today. So those are some of the key things there. You had asked about being able to like input the patient's complaints and stuff. So you are able to do it right here, where you can add
Mhm.
that information. You can see like additional notes as well. Any particular note that you wish to have, you can also set it to be tagged so that once it's tagged, it would actually show you the information
Okay, yeah.
here.
So
So
between
you
doctors, they can see what important tag note you had.
correct.
Gotcha.
Correct. And then you can also have ta the tasks will be displayed here as well in terms of anything that needs to be done. All right.
That's
Then you can
fantastic.
also see their treatment.
Oh, it's time to graduate them to home exercises. Teach them home exercises next visit, something like that. So that's
Correct.
awesome.
Anything that you want to have there. And then you still have the custom fields that, again, you will be able to record this information for the patient as well. So this is free range. So what you're seeing here isn't necessarily, as I said, what you will get once you have your system because you get to create the information that is shown here.
Okay.
All right.
And just so I know to answer questions for docs, some of them, it sounds like you're doing a lot of the things that maybe you won't need as many plugins. Can you still work with some plugins out there? I really like that track stats or stat tracks, where I forget what they're .org. They're awesome. I hope you guys are working with them at some point to extrapolate some of your data to help team members in some ways. It seems like you might not need something like SCED and some of those other ones, or are they still going to work?
SCAD, I don't think SCAD, but I do know that Nadine confirmed that Aloha will be
Mhm.
integrated. That way we still have persons that want to stay on those third-party applications, but we do
Mhm.
have our own patient app through, as I said, Everest Health. I can pull it up here. I don't have the full access to it right now, but I do have a little photo option that I can show you through Figma. Let me just give it a minute for it to load. So, but I know for sure SCAD isn't, but Aloha will, and then Everest Health. I know I've actually downloaded Everest app from the day that I heard that it was available. I downloaded it on my phone, but of course it requires setup and what's not. But that is going to be integrated, as I mentioned, Waystar for the clearinghouse, Mondial Pay for credit card. We did mention about the Biotonics, which as I showed you there, and
Okay.
then app.
I still work with cash practice.
Cash practice, I do not think so. As far as I know, the only option available for credit card processing as of now is our own platform, which is the Mondio Pay. And as I said, I'm not saying no because I know that Nadine, she did mention that for now, this is what we're going to start off with, but there might be integrations in the future, such as the same one that you would have mentioned.
Yeah.
But I am not 100% sure, at least on my end. She's the one that will make the decisions as far as integrations are concerned. All right.
All right.
So this is what the patient app is shaping up to look like. So you will be able to have the patients like confirm their appointments. They will be able to see details as it relates to those appointments, the doctors that they're scheduled with, and so on. I know it's not clear, but this is the most that I have here on the patient app side. They're able to see every single one of their appointments. As you can see, it gives the option to check in, confirm future appointments, just to make sure that they're coming. And if they've confirmed it on their app, then of course you wouldn't necessarily have to send necessarily a text message to remind them, but you might want to still do it nonetheless. You have the ability that you can send them exercises as well. You have the health note information, well, soap notes. You have their health summary that you'll be able to see. They can keep track of their stats and their calories and what's not. So that information is also embedded into the patient app here as well. Under the account section, I know that you will be able to have them see like their financial plan benefits. If there's a payment that needs to be made, they will be able to make those payments as well. See how many services or what's not are under their financial plan. So this is all tied in to the system. So this is all the information that I have on the patient app as of now. But I know that they are working on it. As I said, I did download the app, but I need like a sign in sign in information to be able to access it. But this is supposed to be the SCAD replacement. But as mentioned, Aloha will be integrated with the system as
Okay.
well. All
All right.
right.
Sounds good.
All right. Now
Yeah,
the
that's awesome. And I think you've got so many people with cash practice. I wouldn't be surprised if she still keeps it going, even
keeps
though you overlay a little bit. If people like something and they're used to it, it'd be
mhm.
easier to just plug
It
and
is
play it in there.
easier.
But
I
yeah,
completely agree. But again, they're the ones that make the decision on the integrations and what's not. But I think that the whole goal was to have something that, everything in the kitchen sink so that there's not a need to have to rely on another party or to turn you away to go to something else that charge you an arm and a leg. I think it was, we just wanted you to have everything that would actually run your clinic, that you don't have to do a lot more. I think that was the initial goal. But as I said, going forward, I don't know if there are going to be additional integrations with the system. All right, so if there's one more thing that I do want to show you, if nothing else, and all of the tabs, as I said, pretty straightforward there. I do want to show you at least the dashboard. And the dashboard here is like your report hub. It gives you an idea
Mhm.
of how well you're doing as a clinic. So you're able to run this by particular dates. You get to see your financial insights. So you get to see the charges, how much money you might have collected from patients versus insurance. You get to see your scheduled appointments. It gives you your trends as well to show you if you're trending upward, if you're trending downward, if it's a particular area that needs attention, or if it is actually healthy. So you get to see all of that statistical information. There's also
Nice.
your exec overview that shows you like your active patients, how much revenue you might have lost based on patients that might have canceled appointments, etc. So you will be able to see all that information, again, giving you your indicator ratio of how well you are performing. Your KPIs as well are recorded here. So you get to see
Wow.
your patient visits, your appointments, your collections, your reactivations. So all of these details are available here. And then it does give you the ability to do your comparative analysis, which allows you to do a side-by-side view. So if you wanted to compare, what would have happened in January versus February, you can see side by side how well you might have performed during a particular period.
Fantastic.
All right.
Fantastic. I've always thought your stats were amazing compared to some of the other ones that are out there. I've always loved that part. I just know that there's some out there that help the weaker softwares
Mhm.
do a better job with their stats, which is like StatTrack. I love how
Got it.
they calculate data that the other softwares are not putting together for the doctor in their office, which you seem to do pretty well.
Got it. Yeah. So, as I said, with that one and some of the things that you mentioned, like I have heard about and so on, but as far as integrations, I know that there are a lot of intricate things that needs to be done in order to get something to be tied to the system. So
Mhm.
once you pose them to Nadine, and trust and believe, Nadine has been doing an amazing job because I've been doing demos until I was hoarse. Like I literally had
Mhm.
no voice, and I've been taking all of the feedback and suggestions and I've been forwarding to them. And she's been saying, how much of a good idea it is. But as I said, some of those things are going to come as we progress as a software and making the system more and more improved and nothing like what's available anywhere in the world at this time. So I know that that is the ultimate goal.